We're going to take a look at just how easy it is to get an ASP.NET Core Web API up and running in an Azure Web App using Docker. Okay, so let's get started. Let's obviously we need a project, an ASP.NET Core Web API project. I'm just going to call that API Web App. Yeah. I'm going to not configure it for HTTPS. We are going to enable Docker. I'm just going to leave all the rest of the defaults. There's other shows which go through what those defaults do and what the impact is. Check the show notes. Okay, so we've got an API. We know that this will run if we run it locally. Now there's a couple ways that we can publish this. We could create a new web app in the cloud. There's an advantage to that. Or we can just immediately go, okay, publish to an app service. So I'm just going to do it from here. Publish to, now, do we want to publish to Azure or the Docker Container Registry? We're going to go to Azure for the moment. And we're going to publish it to, if we choose Linux, then it's not going to run the Docker container. In order for our web app to run the container, we need to choose Azure App Service Container. Okay, so then what we need to do is it's going to ask us to create the app service. So I'm going to create a new one. And, well, I'll just leave it as that really long, annoying name. In the resource group, I'm going to create a new one. And it's going to be API Docker resource group. And the hosting plan, give me a new hosting plan. Again, I'll just leave the long, horrible name. I'm in Australia, so I'm going to select that. Now, note here that the minimum size we can pick is S1. So one of the first things we're going to do once we've created this is change this size down, scale down. Okay, so let's go and create that. That is going to run off. To Azure. And create our resource group, web app, and app service plan, or I like to call it farm because it's just a little bit shorter and easier. Okay, so then we go next. That took a few minutes, so there was a bit of a time warp there. Okay, registry. We need a registry because we're using a container. So we need to create a new instance of the container registry. And okay, so create a new resource group for our container registry resource group. Just the standard. In fact, we'll even go basic and Australia because, again, cost-wise, we don't need standard yet. Scale it up when you need to scale it up and not before. Okay. Now we'll go off and create the container registry. Okay, that was not too bad. We don't want to create an APIM at this point. And finish. Okay, needs extra configuration to access the published container. Visual Studio needs to enable the admin user on the container registry instance to accomplish that. Do I want to do that? Yes. All right. Now what it's done is created the publish profile, which is, if you have a look in properties, publish profiles, we can see our new publish profile here. I can find my mouse. There we go. So this guy. Okay. but it hasn't been published. So let's go ahead and publish that. So this means that our web app exists, but it doesn't exist. It hasn't had the software deployed. It hasn't had our code deployed. That's what's happening right now. So this is our web app with the ugly name. So like I said, it already exists, and currently it's getting deployed to by this publish process. I'm going to let that finish. As soon as it's finished, I'm going to come into scale up, and well, we're going to scale down because this is going to cost me $87 a month, and that's expensive for something that I'm playing with, that when I'm exploring a new idea, or if you're a startup, you've got very limited funds. You don't want to be spending $90 a month when you don't need to. Let's drop it down to the free tier as soon as that publish completes. You can see it's still spinning away up here. All right, now it's warming up your site. Moving along, almost there. And what it's actually done is it's launched a browser window for me on the URL. So now we'll wait for the warm up to complete. Could take a little while. All right, publish succeeded. Okay, so that's still spinning, but let's just have a look and see if we can reach our Swagger. That'd be point number 1. And while that's spinning away, let's see if we can hit our weather forecast. All right. It's up and running, so it should work. It took a good 5 minutes, even more. So we're now seeing a response coming back. Just format that. No, I won't format that. There we go. So yes, our weather forecast is working. Now I got this initially, both when I was hitting the weather forecast and on the Swagger. So just be careful. This could happen whilst your application is still starting up. Okay, and this is a new problem. This issue is happening because in the code, there's a bit of logic which says, it opens up, if the app environment is development, then set up the Swagger. And that's not, we haven't set that up. We haven't set that as a variable here. So therefore, the Swagger's not showing. So there's a couple of things we can do to fix this. You can take that out of the is development section. That's what I usually do because I want my Swagger to be available in production or development. Or you can add a variable. What variable do we need? Well, the thing that makes this true is it's in our launch settings in the project, the ASP.NET Core environment. And obviously to make it development, you set that to development. So if we add that to as an application setting to our service development, save it. Don't just click OK. Don't forget you have to click save. Now this used to trigger a restart on the app service. Doesn't always do that now. So you see how I'm hitting F5 and that response is coming back quite quickly every time, which tells me it's not restarting just yet. You can come up here and do a restart. I find that's also fairly flaky in that I've done that restart now. It's doing the restart web app. It says it's restarted, Yeah, but it still isn't, it's still responding too quickly. So I feel like that's not restarted. So if you find yourself with this situation where it feels like your change hasn't been accepted, okay, there we go. That's now finally done it. And it's going to spin its wheels and it's going to fail. To expedite that restart, you can come into diagnose and solve problems, and there's an advanced application restart. Go into there, click that and click restart. I'm not going to do that now because it's already clearly restarting. But this will, as soon as you click that restart, it will definitely restart the app. Whereas I feel like this one is restart when Azure's good and ready, which is fine usually. But when you're testing stuff out like this, you want it to restart when you tell it. Okay. So, okay, that finished. The restart typically takes about 60, 90 seconds. So as you can see, the Swagger is now working. So adding that ASP.NET Core environment setting has worked, and we now have Swagger. Okay, now what we needed to do, now that this is all up and running, is we need to scale down, because you don't want to be paying that $80, $90 a month for this service, for any service, until you want to start paying for more compute power until you need more compute power. So I'm going to drop this down to the free tier. Again, that will cause this to stop working, but that's fine. This is good enough for my purposes. It might not be good enough for yours. Obviously, you select what is best for your project. All right, so we've scaled down. I guess the final thing to just look at is this deployment center. Again, because of cost, we're setting it up from Visual Studio. The Azure Container Registry was really the only option, but you can change it to Docker Hub from the deployment center. Docker Hub won't cost you anything. The Azure Container Registry will. It's not expensive, I think around $1 a day. I might need to blank that one out because I'm sure it changes. But I'll do a separate show which will show swapping this out, so we're using Docker Hub instead of the Azure Container Registry, so we don't have to pay any money for it. And so I think that's it. So we've seen how quickly and easily we can deploy an API to an Azure web app. It's running in Docker. It's quick and easy to make changes to get the Swagger running, and we've saved some money by making sure that we reduce this, by making sure that we scale down. And like I said, in a future show, we'll save more money by changing out the container registry. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Be kind, be curious, and create something great.